Morning, everybody. As you can see, it's Nick. It has been a while since I've sorry, I think I'm blinding people with the sun. It has been a while since I've vlogged, and somebody very kindly reached out to ask how I was. That was really kind, so thank you very, very much. So I thought, you know what, I'll come on and try and express how I am. So I haven't had my HRT implant redone. Sorry, I've got 5 dogs all trying to get on my knees, so excuse me if I do get I'm not being rude to anybody listening to this. I'm just trying to make sure the dogs don't overwhelm me. I haven't had my HRT implant put back in. I haven't, basically I'm not taking any kind of hormone replacement therapy because I'm 7 years in, if I'm honest. I've never felt so ill. So about 18 months to 2 years ago, I don't know if I mentioned, I started getting a lot of pins and needles and cramps in my hands and arms and some really bad headaches. And you know, this constant fatigue that I've always had all the way through. And I always just put everything down to the menopause, you know, the fact that I put on weight that doesn't seem to be commensurate with the amount I eat and the amount of exercise that I do. Anyway, everything's always been blamed on the menopause. I'm a bit teary and sad. But it's not the hormonal teary and sad. It's it actually has a reason for a change. So this pain has gradually been getting worse, to the extent that I just have chronic pain generally all over my body. It can move, but particularly in my joints and my elbows, my knees. I get really bad cramps in my shoulders and my neck that then result in, you know, banging heart migraines. And if I don't take frequent rests and period of laying down, I am literally bedridden. And I feel I think that's why I haven't vlogged. On one hand, I don't want to be this ill, and I don't want to constantly every day say I'm in pain and I don't feel very well. But that's the reality. And so I am, as we know, I am very blessed. And I do have a lot of medical support, but you know, they did MRIs and all kinds of things, and there doesn't seem to be any obvious biological reason as to why this pain is prevalent and is actually getting worse. And it's got so bad. I mean, I took a sabbatical from my work with end-of-life patients last June, and at the minute, the way I feel, I can't ever see myself ever being able to go back to any type of work, because actually most days, certainly by the afternoon, I just feel too crap. And when I have a flare up, and I think I'm having a flare up at the minute, I wake up with the pain. On good days I don't wake up with the pain. It kicks in at about 2 o'clock, and I would say it's kind of fair to moderate. When I have a flare up, it's really bad. So the flare up actually occurred yesterday. I do you know, I love my yoga, which some of you may know, and I did quite a long yoga workshop yesterday, and I got home and my arms literally felt like they were on fire, and my legs were just humming. It's like a burning sensation. Anyway, I have been to see I find it difficult to say this word, rheumatologist, and basically the diagnosis, or the initial diagnosis, is fibromyalgia. I don't think as a Westernized society we understand it very well. From what I can understand, from what I've spoken to consultants about and read up on, it is that there is my brain is telling my body that I'm in pain, even though there is no specific biological reason as to why I should be feeling that pain, and that somehow that they don't quite understand the nerve signals, that system that my brain talks to the rest of my body telling me how to feel, has somehow got a bit, I don't know if broken's the right word, I don't know if anybody knows. So I've had my initial consultation and diagnostic tests done, and the reason they do quite a lot of tests is to rule out any other type of diseases, such as there's a massive list. The only one that kind of I can remember is like lupus, some other stuff. So far my bloods have all come back fine. I've got 2 more different tests to have done, because fibromyalgia can often be what they call a secondary. It can often be hiding something else. It doesn't look like it is in my case. I think it's one of those things that is not that well understood. So all of this stuff that I've been putting down for the menopause, but what I do know is the menopause never caused me chronic pain like this, and the pain over the last getting towards 2 years has just been getting gradually worse, and it's no longer periods, a bit infrequent periods. It's daily. It is debilitating, and it's daily. So I've got my follow-up appointment next week, where hopefully we'll be able to rule out anything else, keep it simple. And then I suppose the discussion will be, as the consultant said, a pain relief approach, and it's a holistic approach. They don't really understand that much about it. One of the things they say that does help is exercise, but and it's interesting that when I'm exercising, so I do still go, I do my resistance training twice a week. I've gone back to swimming just once or twice a week. I try and do a walk a couple of times a week, and I try and do some yoga. But what I've observed is, if I try and do any of those things, if I try and push myself, like the yoga workshop yesterday, I just get a flare up. So I can do all of those things, and when I do them, I'm pain free. But the minute I stop, within 10 minutes, the pain comes back. And if I've pushed myself too hard, and I suspect I'm having a flare up, because before I did my yoga workshop yesterday, I increased my weights in the gym last week, because I've always been quite I'm very, very ambitious, and I've really always loved my sport. And when I'm telling the consultant what I'm doing, she's like, wow, that's actually quite a lot. She's got a lot of patients that can hardly get out of bed, and I'm thinking, it's a drop in the ocean. It's a drop in the ocean to who I used to be. So actually I'm not great, and I'm really tired of being in pain, and it is really painful, and I don't know, and it makes you feel quite isolated, because I don't want to sound like I'm a victim and poor me. I don't want it to be like that. I don't want to be defined. I don't want to be known as a label. So I don't really know what I'm going to do. I don't really know what the answer is. I think I'm feeling a little bit more sorry for myself today than I would do if you spoke to me on a day when I wasn't in so much pain. But I've got up in pain, and I've been in pain. The pain just keeps me awake at night. It's a really difficult pain to describe, because it moves around your body. The other symptoms with it are the chronic fatigue, which obviously I'd been just putting down to the menopause, but now excuse me, that was a really snotty sniff, wasn't it? I sleep for about 2 hours in the afternoon, and I suspect some of that might be because in the night I'm woken up quite a lot. I'm kind of half in and half out of sleep, just because I'm in so much pain, and it is like a burning, stroke, cramping sensation, and it is always in my arms and shoulders, always. It's just a matter of whether it's 2 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. It never goes away, and that's where it started. But what I'm noticing is I'm getting an awful lot more in my legs as well now. So I'm obviously doing lots of research on it. I will be seeing my menopause consultant in a few weeks. I think it's really important, as I've always thought, to empower and educate ourselves on this stuff. So I'm going to be doing a lot of research over the coming weeks. I'm just about to I've googled on YouTube Tai Chi for people with fibromyalgia, and also yoga specifically for that condition. So I'm going to go in a minute and just do 10 minutes of that to see if it alleviates any of the pain. And the really weird thing with it is during the movement, the pain just dissipates, but then it comes straight back. And if I push myself too hard, and last week I did push myself hard, because when the consultant said exercise is good, you know, in my little brain, I'm like, right, I'll do more. Because, you know, I've got a fundamental level of fitness, I am able to ramp it up. The thing that stops me ramping my fitness up isn't the fact that I'm not fit enough to do it. It's the fact that I feel so shit. I feel so tired and in pain afterwards. So that is a very long answer to how I am. And I don't really know if anybody really understands this thing. It's called a chronic disease, i.e. there's no known cure, which sounds very dramatical, doesn't it? But there again, I do wonder how much, I don't know, you know, can we heal ourselves? You know, is it lifestyle? They can't seem to put the finger on what the biological reason is. You know, from the research I've seen, it can be by injury or by trauma. I guess the reality is I've got both of those. You know, I did have a sports injury a few years ago. I tore my Achilles tendon, and the treatment was shit. You know, they didn't get it right, and then they had to operate a year later. So it was a very long recovery time. I think the damage done, my leg's never been right since, but I think the damage was more psychological, because I felt very vulnerable, very physically incapable, and I think my tears now are kind of more tears of, I suppose, you know, it's a transition, tears of grief, that it doesn't feel like I'm ever going to be that, God, you know, I just used to be such a force of nature, and just feel a bit pathetic, really. And that's not how I want to be. It's not how I want to see myself at all. And it's on the good days, I'm like, you know, push through, do this, do that. But then on the bad days, I just go, you know what, I'm fucking tired. And I am so tired of waking up and going, oh God, everywhere's hurting again. And so it becomes, well, I've even missing my glasses up, I'm crying so much. Yeah, it just become quite difficult. So in the menopause, the difficulty about getting out of bed and cracking on was just lack of motivation, really, lack of engagement. It was a physical tiredness, but it was a psychological, I'm just not engaged with it. And I wouldn't say that's the case now, so I wouldn't say that I feel, actually, ironically, kind of hormonally depressed. I would say I'm just worn down by physical pain and the constant tiredness that brings, and the psychological transition. You know, the reality is I might not ever feel well enough to go to work again. I'm only fucking 53, and gosh, you know, how blessed am I that I'm in a position that I don't need to worry about the bills being paid, because, you know, my husband and I always worked as a team, and we made a decision when the kids were small. I was still working when we had our third child, and I was just I was just really struggling to hold it all together, because my husband and I both had very demanding professional jobs, and other people were basically bringing our kids up. So we were blessed in that we didn't need both salaries. We could easily manage on one. So and it was my choice. I said I'm going to be the one. I'm going to take over the home and bring the kids up, because I don't want somebody else to have to do it for me. And that was very much my choice. And, you know, we've just worked as a team on that basis before. We both, we've got a family and a home, and we had a whole stack of different things, different roles and responsibilities. And in our own way, that's how we chose to split it between us. I'm not saying that's the right way for anybody else at all. That was our way, and it's worked for us. It does mean that, you know, I don't know, God knows how people manage that, having to work with this thing. I just don't know. And I I guess we're at the start of my journey. I guess I'm hoping that once I learn more about it, I don't know, maybe I should join a support group or something. I can try and create some space in between the bad days. But it's quite early days. I only saw the rheumatologist 10 days ago, so I think I'm in a little bit of a one of the things I know about myself, I can get a bit down like this and then have a bit of almost hibernation time where I'm processing it, and then usually I come out kind of, right, what am I going to do, how am I going to manage this, how am I going to make the best of it. So that's what I'm hoping is going to happen. But this is the realistic answer to how I am today. How I am today is a bit sad and a bit tired and a bit fed up of being in pain, and I'm just sat out here in the garden, just trying to soak up the beauty of nature and kind of take myself out of this doldrums. And I don't really know what the answers are or how I'm going to make it work, but I will sure as hell try, and I will keep you updated on the journey if that's of interest, and if it's not, please just don't bother listening to my waffles. And sending everybody much love and hoping you are all doing okay. That's it. Take care.